is to be a way of life, just as much as it is a fancy title that affords one legal or lawful powers. So family, our sovereignty has been established by the Father, the authority given to his Son to put those things back in place again, and it is through sovereignty that he has returned us back to the sovereignty through the indexing process. So with that, family, I'd like to go ahead and yield the call to Dr. HENDO I.L. Henderson, Yahoshua Luke. Rise and shine, sir.
Rise and shine. How do you hear me?
Can hear you very clearly, sir.
Outstanding. I want to say that we know that tonight, as we begin a new month, in which now this is a month where the population of people in which we so find ourselves being a resident of, are being part of a community of, is about to go through a month of what is known as nothing more than memorials. First of all, we will start the month by having something that is known as Labor Day. Knowing that everyone will find themselves busy, seriously at labor for the rest of the month. Most of the people will be hard at work, just trying not to get past the moment of doing nothing more than celebrating memorials, deaths, people dying, reason people died, why they died, how long they died, when they did die, where they died. And our generation, our popular generation of our communities known as the United States of America is about to go through a whole nother year of memorials, where they're looking for someone to blame for the death and the situations that have taken place in their lives over a course of period now of the years in which they deem to be some so-called proud nation. The United States of America is a nation where it loves sympathy. It loves to have someone or some other bodies sitting around with them, whimpering and crying, and at the same time, they themselves trying to find some way to get revenge against everyone on the planet that they have believed for themselves that dealt them what they believe to be a bad hand. So we're getting prepared to have to start going through September 11 again. We know that they will begin once again to disrespect all of the military men that spent their time, their moment, their hours of doing nothing more than going out to say that they're going to protect the country. Even those many people, men and women, that joined the military after September 11th to go out to just say that they were going to protect the nation from enemies, knowing that America itself creates its own enemy. And thereafter, once the enemies find themselves becoming enemies, they have no other choice but to fight their enemies, and that is America. They begin to get what is known as the upper hand of the situation in which America brings everybody to, through their hard anger and revenge lifestyle. They realize that their revenge begins to slip away farther and farther and farther away from them, the more death that occurs at their hands and on their clock. And thereby, they begin to look for someone else to blame for their own stupidity. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because right now, the United States of America is getting ready to go through some more major situations that's going to give them more added moments of memorial time, memorial, death. If I might say, You know, this is a way in which we don't like having to start off a conversation of such with the United States of America. But there's only one way you can, and that is what we're doing right now. So I would say to all the listeners tonight, rise and shine. A lot of you that I'm saying rise and shine to you right now, I obviously have already come to a conclusion. You should have realized I've come to a conclusion to realize that you have no clue what rise and shine means. Because you're too busy talking about those things around the United States of America that does not matter to anyone on the planet. Nobody cares about who is the person that's going to be buying up all the land, because they cannot ever buy the land. The land is unpurchasable. They can't purchase it. It's impossible. So when we hear the people talking to us about someone buying the land or someone trying to somehow take the land, we're laughing, because you're talking about a land that is a land that we've already told you it was a sovereign land. And that land was given by God to a people. Those people can never lose the land. What they have to realize is they must do what it is that Yahushua, God of the universe, has commanded them to do, and the land will be then, and only then, it will be used by them in a manner where everybody will be able to recognize it. The book strictly tells you, if my people who were called by my name, if they would just humble themselves, turn from their wicked and evil ways, in which they have learned from nothing more than those that have been there would be captives, but that's where they're at, their captivity, they will realize that my Father said he will hear their cries and he will heal their land. He's already told them that. That's the total promise. The reason it hasn't happened because all the people are steadily, constantly being unfocused based upon them coming with conversations that really don't have any common sense to them when you really think about it. You know, if I might say to the United States of America, once again, welcome to the call. This is your call. And maybe to you, this is a terrible way to start a conversation with a person that perhaps you're trying to influence them to at least be able to recognize what is right and what is wrong. And I would have to say to you, anywhere in the United States of America, when sitting down with another individual, where you know for a fact that individual is headed in the wrong direction, I can tell you there's no better way for you to sit down and to tell that individual that he's headed in the wrong direction than to just be straight out forward, honest with him by saying, you are going to die because you're heading in the wrong direction. You can't waste your time trying to candy coat it, play up to them, say it in a manner that you won't offend them. It's not going to happen. They're not going to get it. You have to tell them the truth and let them deal with it from that moment on. It's not your concern. They will have to deal with Yahushua when that moment time comes. But you have been sent to warn them. That's all you got to do is warn them. It says, if anyone desires to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. For whoever desires to save his life will lose it. But whoever loses his life for my sake will save it. For what profit is it to a man if he gains the whole world and is himself destroyed or lost? For whoever is ashamed of me and my words, of him, the Son of Man, will be ashamed when he comes in his own glory and in his Father's of the holy angels. But tell you, I must, But I must tell you truly, there are some of you who are standing here who shall not taste death until you see the kingdom of Yah, God. Not everybody is going to die. We have to understand that, because most of the people now are more concerned about dying than living. Again, I say not everybody is going to die. It's constantly telling you in truth, right here in the scriptures and right before you, the word is being given to you, honestly, that the ones that's going to die are the ones who are desiring to save themselves. All they care about is themselves. Will I make it? Can I get past this? Will I be able to overcome that? Am I going to be able to over and beat everybody else and get there first? Constantly trying to find some way to manipulate others to put yourself on the top. You know, each time I look at the United States of America, I recognize that in 1999, I myself, being a I who believed that we were a we, went to save the whole entire universe based upon everyone having he or she solved it right. And since that moment, I can tell you that not just a handful, but over thousands and thousands of people has come to me trying to duplicate exactly what I had already done, or they were trying to find some way or some method that they possibly could be able to do it better. All not just to make sure they would save people, but just for their own would-be bragging rights. Yeah. See, you have to understand when sitting down talking to people, you understand when people are either pleased with what you've done or they're believing that they can do it better only because they are looking at you in a manner to say that I'm better than you. You know, I'm set with thousands of people in this manner. And I can assure you, no, they were not foreign people. No, they were not nations of far-off people. They were the United States of America. The average person, individual that I talk to in some of the would-be far-off countries, Germany, yeah, Thailand, yes, Korea, yes. I could go on and on and on with the nations, Japan, that I sat down and spoke with people. I spoke with those people that were nothing more to me than friends. Yeah. They had titles, world titles. They were classified as would-be so-called leaders of the nation. I talked to those that were the holy men of their nation, those that were known as Buddhas, those that were known as those highest would-be honored Buddhas of the planet. And I recognized that even sitting amongst them, we were just another individual talking to each other on how we could use our abilities to be able to work together to save the sovereignty of the planet and the people. Only to find myself coming back to America, even talking to brothers and sisters, I'm talking about biological, that were more concerned with outdoing me than to help me save the world based upon sovereignty. They were so in favor of outdoing me to become the favorite to mom or the favorite to grandfather or the favorite to aunt than to help me save the world based upon sovereignty. I can assure you right now that would be, if it would have been, competition is no longer possible because they're either dead or they're on their deathbeds. And they still have not yet truly recognized that I didn't come for a competition with them. I came to save the lost. What is it? If a man should gain the whole world and is himself destroyed or lost. And this is the hardest thing to get the United States of America people to recognize, because they're so dysfunctional based upon a system in which they have themselves been raised and brought up under. They're more concerned just making each other look like number two, or each other be a nobody, than to work together to save the planet from being lost. If anyone desires to come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. They haven't yet understood that. Constantly, every other would-be Sunday gone past, you would find some minister standing in his pulpit making this statement. And he would even tell you he got it out of a book he called Luke, out of a Holy Bible. But at the same time, he hasn't recognized even what this is saying to him. He has no true understanding of it. Fact. So he's still himself, designed to be Jesus the Christ. But he's not willing to take up his cross, not daily. He's not willing to take up his cross one day in order to save anybody. He's too busy trying to save his check. He's too busy trying to save his new Mercedes. He's too busy trying to save his car. He's too busy trying to save his son's would-be basketball career. He's too busy trying to save his wife's career. Nothing more than do. So he has no time to take up his cross daily and follow anything that he would have believed that Jesus Christ would have ever been doing to save the planet. It is beginning to become more and more every day a problem for the whole world. But you still got those of them that's getting in the way of nothing more than the saving of mankind. Every minister just a few months ago was afraid to even speak out on coronavirus because he didn't want to catch it. He didn't want to get infected with it, so he kept his mouth closed. But now that he believed that they somehow came up with a cure or a vaccination that's going to save the planet and get everybody strong again, he wants to come out every Sunday. He wants to come with a new sermon to get everybody to take the vaccine just so he don't get infected. Just so he don't get contaminated. God help us all. The chilling warning has already been placed out to the people according to the prophecy of the universe. The future pandemic threat is real and it's going to get worse. The world is grappling now with how we coexist with COVID and with every virus that comes out. Knowing that right now these current COVIDs and these viruses are about to throw us a whole new curveball that we cannot see even coming. The Delta variant is only a friend to 28 other variants that they cannot identify right now. And they have no clue how they're going to be able to administer anything that will even take a possibility chance of being effective to be able to at least control them. And now, every now and then, you got a so-called preacher that wants to stand up in his pulpit and tell everybody to go out and get the would-be Pfizer vaccine, and at the same time, two churches down the street, you got a preacher standing in the pulpit that's preaching against Pfizer and saying, go get Moderna. 2 streets down from that church, you got another minister standing up, and he's preaching to go and get the vaccine Johnson & Johnson because Pfizer is not going to be effective for long. Listen to me, people. Stop worrying about all the material things on the planet right now. You can't handle the material things on the planet right now. You know why? Because too many spiritual things are coming at you that you have no discernment of. You are being given the interpretation of it, and you are rejecting it constantly by the day. All the other nations now are seeking one holy man that they're wondering, where is he at? What is he doing now? We have offered him an opportunity to come and live at the Taj Mahal. We have asked him to come back. We have asked him to come to the greatest Buddhist temple in Thailand. We have asked him to come back. He was there before. Where is he now? They're asking him to come back. But he has a greater responsibility, and that responsibility is his homeland. Why? Because he believes in the scriptures, and the scriptures have been given and interpreted by the elders of his would-be land, where they once made statements like, charity starts at home and spreads abroad. But the people at home care nothing about charity. They don't even know what charity is. They think charity is just something that you give someone on a day when you don't really want it yourself, not realizing that charity is nothing more than love. They too busy trying to find some reason to hate. They just hate just because they can't participate. They can't support, but they want to prevent anyone from being able to support it. The average mother and father that find themselves on the losing end of what is known as their would-be so-called children, just because they can't support, they'll try to destroy the one who is supporting. They're not planning on supporting. They just want to prevent everyone else from supporting, not realizing they cause more problems than solutions. How will Delta variant evolve? How will it evolve? It already has. It has already mutated right now. It has mutated into so many different variants right now. They don't even know what they're truly dealing with. They look under the microscopes. They see Delta variant sitting there waving its hand, only to come back to notice that Delta variant has already grown 12 more hands, waving. They take a deep breath. They step away from the microscope. They clear their eyes because they've been there 72 hours looking constantly into that one particular microscope that they believe that their eyes are playing tricks on them, only to walk away and walk back. Less than 5, 15, 20 seconds. They walk back and they look into the microscope, and what do they see? Nothing other than Delta, waving not 12 hands, but 24 hands now, waving at them. And constantly now, the United States of America is doing what it does with everything when it's real serious. They downplay it. But there's a reason to panic. America downplays it. During a pandemic, it's a moment, it's a time for panicking. It's called pandemic, not downdemic. You can't downplay it. Everyone is panicking right now. They don't have a choice. And trying to ease everyone's ability to be those in whom are panicked by trying to get them to blame their neighbor for the situation that they're going through, it's not going to get anything accomplished. Someone might want to carry that to the White House. Some of you that walk around every day dressed up, going to jobs as if though you're important, getting big checks at the door where you say that you're so important, just take a trip to the White House and let your would-be so-called representatives know exactly what's happening. You don't have to stage the January the 6th all over again, but you got to get the message to them. But they will recognize that this COVID, SARS-CoV-2, started back in a long time ago. H1N1. They know, they understand when you say H1N1, they can understand that. None of them are confused when you say H1N1. Say it to them. Better yet, call up your best friend. Get Usher. Get Rihanna. Tell them to call up their best friend, Barack Hussein Obama, and ask him about H1N1. Nobody even realized or recognized the fact that when Barack Obama was in the White House, he rolled up his sleeves, just like Joe Biden did. He rolled up his sleeves, but they didn't roll up their sleeves to go to work. They rolled up their sleeves to get a vaccine. Barack Obama rolled up his sleeves back in 2009 just to get an H1N1 vaccine, which they told you then it was a cautionary protection for coronavirus. They told you that. But no one was listening because everybody was too busy watching his swag. Everybody was too busy watching him dress up. Everybody was too busy watching him have parties in the White House. Everybody was too busy watching him being the leading male for every male on the planet and calling all other males haters. So everyone was constantly watching him being cute, that they missed the fact that he rolled up his sleeve, took an H1N1 vaccine as a cautionary protection from what is known now as coronavirus. And everyone says he did a good job. He was the best president that we ever had. I'm not attacking Barack Obama. It's not about him. It's about what you're going through. He just happened to be another pawn that has done a great job at deluding your mind and confusing you, manipulating you, downplaying you, keeping you calm in a time of a storm of panic. What is C12 COVID-19? I just told you. SARS-2, COVID-2, COVID-20, if you want to call it that, or perhaps COVID-21. Let's call it COVID-28, because right now, this is going to be around way out to 2028, and even growing. Listen, these conversations I'm having with you now, once upon a time was only on a piece of paper going to the United States of America. The only time I spoke to people was when I was going to different countries and asking them and talking to them, how do we regulate these things? What are we going to do to protect one another? How are we going to come together to work together in a manner where we won't allow war to get in our way and affect us on saving one another from being destroyed during these would-be natural disasters? That's what I was doing. But I had those many people that was only following because all they wanted was $1 billion. And I kept saying to them constantly over and over, what happens when you give a person $1 billion? and he does nothing more than like drinking. What do you think he's going to do with his $1 billion? Or he's one of those people that's a sex addict. What do you think he's going to do with $1 billion? He's a drug addict. What do you think he's going to do with $1 billion? He likes nice cars. What do you think he's going to do with $1 billion? He likes parties on the yacht where he's doing nothing more than snorting cocaine with a bunch of big chip women. What do you think he's going to do with $1 billion? Help me out. I've been there before. And I watched a lot of would-be so-called wealthy men lose their lives, give up their lives, based upon the fact that what they used their $1 billion on, it did nothing more than carry them to their graves. And I got documentation of proof to prove it. Hurricane Ida right now is doing just that, idling herself. She's doing a little bit of damage in Louisiana right now, probably causing a lot of people a lot of heartache and pain. But I can assure them that's not going to be the last hurricane that's coming to get Louisiana. I need you to understand that before Katrina came there, I rode around in nothing more than a taxi with a friend of mine who owned a taxi company. And I asked him what would happen if they had a major hurricane in their city. And he began to tell me about being so high above sea level that would possibly would never happen in that case. But then after Hurricane Katrina, it all changed. He began to realize that some of the things that I was saying had to have some would-be truth to them. Where are all my friends at now? I even gave all of those people strict would-be requests. No, I didn't give them advice. I gave them a request. I told them, my request to you is that you don't go back to Louisiana. Move to Houston. Go somewhere else. Who cares? They're going to have a storm in Houston, you're right. But if you go back to where you just came from, they're going to have another one there. I can assure you, Louisianians, you are in for another huge hurricane that's not even on their would-be so-called radar right now, but I've already told them where it's at. I've already told them that it's coming. They can either believe me or they can do what they have done in the past and think that I'm just amusing or that I'm just a raving lunatic. But I'm here to tell them, just as I warned them before, it's coming. And I know exactly when. I know. Perhaps maybe they want to pay me to tell them early. I've already told them I am not for hire. And surely not for pay. The harvest truly is great, but the laborers are few. Therefore, pray that Yahuwah, God of the universe, will send out laborers into this that he knows to be a great harvest. Go your way. Behold, I send you out as lambs, he says, among wolves. Carry neither money bag. Don't even carry a knapsack, nor sandals. And greet no one along the road. They're not going to listen to you anyway. They can care less of what you're talking about. Be on your way, I say. They're too busy trying to beat everyone else on the planet. They're trying to get ahead. They want to be known as the greatest would-be president of all time. They want to be known as the great conductor. They want to be known as the greatest singer, the greatest would-be lover. They want to be known. And they know nothing about how to save the planet. Nothing. and too openly arrogant to listen. Louisiana is now still shuffling around, trying to find some way to hurry up and get their power turned back on. For a whole power grid has been shut down. No one knows why and how. The FDA now, the top two would-be so-called leaders of the FDA have found the time to do nothing more than to step down. Why? Because I told you that the people at the top of the FDA do not want to be held accountable for all the deaths that's going to be at the hands of what they deem to be some so-called would-be cure. Because they know they're lying. They don't want no parts of that. They started out being very quiet. Why? Because they're part of a system. The system tells them, be a ball player. Shut your mouth. Let it happen. When the situation comes where everyone realizes that we're still failing or nothing is really working, it'll be too late, and we're already be done grabbed the money bags and we'll be done ran out of town, so they won't be able to find the locators to even find themselves. Doing nothing more than confronting us because they won't be able to find us. We'll be long gone by that time. The FDA is not willing to take that full responsibility of that. And yes, you're going to find the top two leaders. You're going to find more than them leaving. You're going to find the leaders that are under them that they're going to try to place there going to want out. Because they're the food, drugs, and alcohol. And they don't understand variance. Variance is not food. Variance is not alcohol. Variance are not drugs. And variance has nothing to do with feathers. I've already told them. They have to understand that the White Hat Report, where you at, White Hat Report? I haven't heard from you in a while. What report are you on now? 34, is it 94? What report are you doing now? Once, I couldn't even sleep because you were constantly calling me on my phone. John McCaffrey died. My 4 a.m. call was wide open. He was no longer calling me at 4 a.m. every morning just to talk about proofless. One of the other would-be people that were then coming out to be a technical would-be movement, where everybody was going to be able to get information, and they were going to get it virtually. What happened? My 4 a.m. phone calls are still open. I don't hear from John anymore. I know why. John is now sitting talking to my father every day. I no longer have to worry or be concerned about John calling me at 4 a.m. in the morning so he and I can go over his with the medical chart while praying, and me giving him all the information about what's going to be coming to the planet next. I don't have to now concern myself with that anymore. But I can assure you that it's still happening. It will still take place just as I gave it to John. The vaccines, they say, are on track to generate sales of $33.5 billion a year. Pfizer alone. And you're wondering why there's such a would-be great movement of advertising vaccines? Who says if they work or they don't work? Who cares? You think they care about whether the vaccine is going to work or not when it's grossing $33.5 billion a year? This year alone, they've already gotten their $33.5 billion, and they're still selling Pfizer vaccine, knowing that the Pfizer vaccine is losing its effectiveness. It has gone from a period of telling everybody that it will last up to 6 months to, just as I told you, now they're even talking less than 3 weeks. No one knows. And now they're telling everybody, if you've gotten the vaccine, Pfizer, once they were saying if you had Pfizer, you was good. Now they're saying if you got Pfizer, you might want to get a second shot and get a dose of Moderna. No, stop it, my brothers and sisters. I didn't tell you to get it, and I'm not telling you not to get it. I'm telling you to make your own choice, because it's obvious that you have been raised in the dysfunctional world of the United States of America, that rather you take the responsibility for you yourself to make the decision whether you take it or not, you would rather someone else give you the advice so you will have someone that you can blame when you believe that it didn't go the way it should have gone. Not realizing that if my Father don't want it to work because of your wicked heart of your thoughts and what you're coming out with to begin with initially, is what's going to carry you off this planet, and not whether the shot worked or not. Stay with me. I'm not angry with you. But I have to be truthful with you, because right now I'm in that moment of time where I and my Father, we become one. And He don't allow me at one time to not come to you directly when I'm in Him and He's in me with the total truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you, God. COVID-19, they say, right now in the world, don't even know how long it's going to last. Let me help you out with what they're really saying. All around the world, there seems to be signs that this so-called immunity, in which these vaccines will bring on to be able to prevent SARS-CoV-2, the COVID virus that causes that which they call disease of COVID-19, they say doesn't last long after you vaccinate. Stay with me, God Almighty. Did you hear what I just said? Right after you get vaccinated, they said it begins to lose its ability to take effect on whatever you're being, what you would classify being infected with. Israel is now having one of the world's worst COVID-19 surges. About 5 months after being vaccinated, they had vaccinated the majority of its whole population. 5 months now, later, they're having one of the worst COVID-19 surges than any other nation. But they were just bragging 5 months ago. They were the ones that really put Pfizer on the map, if we might call it that. And in the United States of America, they said health officials are recommending a booster shot 8 months after the original vaccine course. Notice I said course, because they're not telling you that 8 months, they're not talking 8 months, just another shot in 8 months. They're telling you that you're going to have to be taking the shot up for 8 months. 1 month a shot, another month a shot, another month. Are you following me now? I'm having to take you step by step by the numbers and talk through method of instruction for you to be able to get this. I did this. Now, I've been doing this for 30 plus years, bringing people step by step by the numbers, talk through method of instruction. And it seems to me that still there is a whole lot of operators' headspace. Stay with me. I'm not attacking you. I'm not trying to offend you. But I have to bring you the truth. Everybody's now trying to find some way to blame Texas, the great state of Texas. They're trying to blame Texas for everything that's going wrong with the sweeping would-be GOP voting bills of the would-be so-called government. They They want to blame Texas for the sweeping bills of what they deem to be abortion rights. Let me help you out. For all my life, since I've been on this planet, I have believed that if a woman wants to kill her child, let her kill her. She's going to be held accountable. Who cares? Leave it alone. I repeat, if she wants to kill a child, let her kill her. I just tell the father, go ahead and press charges on her. She's a murderer. Stay with me. I don't care what they're telling you. I'm just telling you how it works. His possession. She borrowed it. She kills it. Pay for it. Listen to me. No, I'm not trying to send people off to fight with each other right now. I'm getting you to come to a mindset of reality of truth, where you don't find yourself going off half-cocked like the rest of those people in your government right now, that most of them that are in there are lost. They have no clue how to lead you. Why? They don't even know how to follow. We must remember that the word has always taught them in their time of what they deem to be the great miracle ability to have the greatest army on the planet, the greatest military, the greatest battle machines on the military battlefield. And they have all been told, you either lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way. It's a known fact. It's one of their mottos. Lead, follow, or get the hell out the way. And I can assure you that the leaders that they keep putting in leadership they do not know how to lead, because they don't know how to follow. And they will not get the hell out your way. Stay with me. That's the destruction of the United States of America, that is known to be nothing more than ignorant and arrogant. And that is a weapon of total destruction. No, they don't care. They send people to Harvard. They send people to Yale. They send people to all of these would-be so-called name institutions. They're supposed to wise them up and give them information and give them knowledge that's going to help them be great leaders, when that institution has no ability to even recognize leadership. Because if they take those individuals and they teach those individuals to become their leaders, knowing that when that individual walks in, he has no quality of leadership whatsoever and no fiber in his body, that tells you right there that it is nothing more than something that's made up as a cosmetic portion of something being presented to you, knowing that it is going to be a failure from the start. Half the leaders that they go on to train at Harvard and Yale, make them and give them license to be lawyers and doctors, give them license to be scientists, give them license to be leaders, presidents and vice presidents, knowing that the individuals that they took into that place could barely understand how to color inside of the line. Stay with me. I'm not attacking them. I'm just giving you truth. Knowing that many of them could not, by a number diagram, start from one and end at the last number, drawing nothing more than the outline of a picture. They could not do it. And they knew that. But it was more convenient for them to use them in accordance to being able to, when it comes down to it, have a reason or have someone as a reason to blame for the misfortune in which America was going to be dealing with. Stay with me, God Almighty. And global COVID-19 vaccines are rolling out. They have already hit a number right now of 5 billion doses, and they classify that to be a milestone. 5 billion doses. 100 million doses have been wasted, they would say, inside the United States of America. Just destroyed. Left in a position where they could be contaminated and destroyed themselves. Knowing that they should be refrigerated, left out in the heat, knowing that they're not going to survive. But at the same time, we've already made $33.5 billion this year. We stand the chance to make $33.5 billion for the next year, every year, for the rest of our lives, irregardless whether we lose some vaccines or not. We will still make $33.5 billion at least a year. Stay with me, America. No one is attacking that so-called would-be FDA. No one is even attacking your administration. It's a system in whereby your administrators and your FDA are totally qualified to be nothing more than those leaders that they have chosen to find someone to blame when everything doesn't work right. Estimates over 100 million Americans had COVID-19 in 2020. That's their estimate now. 100 million people, Americans, had COVID-19 2020. That's how many they say had the COVID virus. Do you understand there's only 300 million Americans? And they're telling you 100 million of them had COVID. How many died? Can anybody tell me that number? Because I can assure you right now, according to what they're telling you, the numbers don't add up. They don't even subtract up. Medicine to treat a fever. Majority of the people have been administered nothing more than a medicine to treat fever. You go in, the first thing they check you for when they're looking for symptoms of coronavirus, they check your temp. And they do nothing more than treat you for the fever, the temp. Knowing possibilities that you have coronavirus. 1 million of you in America in 2020 walked in with given nothing more than a temperature gauge check where you read 99 point something, being of whatever age you was. It could have been a threat to your life. And they did nothing more than administer you a vaccine for a fever. 203 doctors now have already actually come out and told them what the COVID vaccine is really doing to the people, why they themselves won't take it. They've already done that. But let me help you out. They tell you 203 of them. Let's just say 203,000 of them have already told them why they haven't taken. But I keep telling you, they downplay the numbers whenever it benefits them, and they upplay the numbers when it benefits them. They're still wondering and worried about the 3 ways that American economy growth may be derailed. They're more concerned about the economy being derailed than saving lives of people. They got the vice president, and I say we're not attacking the people because we understand that they've been placed in a position where they were placed there based upon their incompetence I'm saying incompetence because it has been incompetence because they knew those people were not qualified to do what they were placing them in those positions to do. They already knew that. But they placed them there so they would have an excuse or have someone that they could blame for when things didn't work properly. Kamala Harris is down talking about a situation that's going on in the South China Sea, having no clue why what's going on in the South China Sea is happening. South China Sea is mostly talking about the Pacific. In case Kamala Harris haven't recognized that the would-be even identity of who she is has a lot to do with that. She's from part of the Pacific Islanders, as they would see her. Confused. Jamaican, Indian, or India. And she has no clue that right now, they're not trying to even talk peace with her because they already recognize she has no clue with what's going on in the Pacific. We're talking about she visited Singapore and Vietnam. She don't even understand that the war in Vietnam had nothing to do with racism. The war in Vietnam had nothing to do with whether they were angry with America. For the matter of fact, the war in Vietnam was more about America paying back the money in which they owed Vietnam through what they deemed to have been able to gather from a loan they took from China. A gold loan, a gold-backed bond. And they only took that loan to start a war between China and Vietnam. Stay with me, I'm talking about America. And she has no clue of that. I'm pretty sure she ran across some of her would-be studies, but she didn't focus on it because she was too busy doing other things. Help us out, Vice President. You know what you were more concerned with than really learning history. 1 in 3 Americans now have had COVID. And that's even before the year 2020 had ended. I just told you how many it was, 100 million. 1 out of 3 Americans, they said, had COVID virus in 2020. And we're still placing leaders in charge that's more concerned about fighting in the Pacific Ocean about some would-be standard of situation based upon trade and occupation in someone else's nation. And those leaders that they have put in our charge of us have no clue of that. And if they do a good job of pretending not to know. The Pfizer CEO himself made what they deemed to be a startling prediction, a chilling, startling prediction about the vaccine itself. He was just basically telling them that he believes that this Pfizer vaccine in a few months, he had told them, will not have any effect whatsoever on the variants because they were mutating, and mutilating the people so quickly and mutating and steadily mutating the people so quickly that he don't believe that they had enough would-be scientists to keep up with the changes in which the virus was bringing. Now they say are growing